Bem-vindos a mais uma edição do Land2Land Connect. Hoje trazemos aqui o ecossistema londrino, falar de Londres e as oportunidades no Reino Unido. O Land2Land Connect é uma iniciativa da Anprotec, do Sebrae, do Ministério das Relações Exteriores, do Programa Diplomacia da Inovação, da Apex Brasil. E desde já agradeço a todos os parceiros que nos acompanham nessa jornada. Eu vou passar para o inglês, em respeito a todos os nossos convidados aqui. Então, farei aqui uma breve apresentação da Anprotec e passaremos, então, aos nossos parceiros participantes. Tudo bem? So thank you very much for everyone joining us, and especially our panelists. Thank you very much for each one of you that joined us today. Iraklis from the Brazilian Embassy in London, Dr. Chris Moore from the Department of International Trade, the DIT, Mauri, Head of Business Growth at London and Partners, Beni, Head of Innovation of TechNation, and Joe Sanchez, Director of Partnerships from TechStars. We will be talking about the London ecosystem today, but before that, I would like to briefly introduce Anprotec for those that haven't met us yet. I'm Rodrigo Mendes. I'm the Director of International Relations from Anprotec, and we are an association that represents and promotes the innovation habitats in Brazil. That means science and technology parks, incubators, accelerators, innovation hubs, co-workings, and all the ecosystem that supports startups, entrepreneurship, science and technology in Brazil. We've been around for more than 35 years. And we have around 370 associated institutions. The mission of Anprotec is to be and act as a network of innovation environments and promote the strengthening of these members in favor of our economy and our society. And our main purpose is to make Brazilian an entrepreneurial society by strengthening innovation ecosystems that promote social, environmental, and economic development. We've been around, and happily we've been growing our ecosystem in Brazil. I'm giving you some numbers of our movement now. We have around 360 business incubators in Brazil, with more than 10,000 incubated and graduated companies, around 43 science parks in operation, and 60 more in implementation or in projects, ongoing projects, with more than 1.5 thousand resident companies. And we also have around 60 accelerators in Brazil, with more than 2,000 accelerated companies in these last years. The innovation ecosystem in Brazil started structuring around the mid-80s, but it took speed in growth around 2000, with lots of incubators coming out. And then after 2010, we have, 2005, we have science parks coming up in Brazil, and the accelerators after 2010, bringing these numbers that we have now. We've been also supporting some studies around the incubators, science parks, accelerators, ecosystems. And when we're talking about the Brazilian science and technology parks, we have around 1,500 resident companies that created around 40,000 direct jobs. And mainly they are in the south of southeast in Brazil, 75% of them, and 80% has and hosts an incubator or accelerator in its grounds. And the group of people that are involved in these science and technology parks involves almost 3,000 masters and 1.2 thousand PhDs. And when we look about incubators and accelerators, we have around 4,000 incubated companies right now and 2.5 thousand accelerated companies. So a little bit more than 5,000, 6,000 startups hosted by our incubators and accelerators, with an annual revenue of around $4 billion. And we have more than 6,000 graduated companies from the past incubators. And all these startups together have created more than 75,000 jobs and giving back to the government in annual taxes, something around $760 million in tax paid by these startups. Anprotec has many programs and help the whole ecosystem, from business missions that we host and take our community and our associates to meet different ecosystems, as we did a couple of months ago, especially going to the UK as well. At the London ecosystem, we had the opportunity to visit in local and meet with some of these lovely guests that we will have today. But also we have other programs as CERNI, for example, which is a certification and qualification program for incubators. And we also are part of the Startup Brazil, now changing its name to Outreach Brazil. But it's been working for more than 5 years, helping startups to go international and access international markets. We have the Land2Land, which is our big platform that actually connects ecosystems on a network of more than 70 members from more than 15 countries, and helps offer services from soft landing and supporting services for startups and companies that want to go to a different country. So our platform helps them to connect. And from this platform, most of our international programs came out, as this one that we are here right now, the Land2Land Connect, which is our virtual mission, our virtual immersion into different innovation ecosystems, where we can connect our Brazilian startups and our own Brazilian ecosystems to these partners that we have globally. And of course, the main goal here is to accelerate and promote the internationalization of our startups and the connection of our ecosystems in Brazil with our partner ecosystem around the globe. We have also been working directly with cross-incubation programs. We had the first one coming out with South Korea and Samsung. After that, we did an agri-tech cross-incubation program with India. We did also with South Africa. We had one with Imperial College and the UK as well. And we are in the middle of an cross-acceleration program with Colombia. So we are always connecting with our very, very valuable partners, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and SEBRAE Brazil, which are great partners also with Apex Brazil, and help us to organize all these programs and support for the internationalization of our startups. So I'd like to, again, thank you all. This was a very short and brief introduction about Anprotec and what we do. And to talk a little bit more about the Land2Land Connect, our program, I would like to call my good friend Rodrigo from SEBRAE. and he will introduce a little bit about Sebrae and what Sebrae does, and also about the Land2Land Connect program. Rodrigo, welcome. Thank you very much.
There we go. Thanks, Rodrigo. First of all, thank you for the audience to spending time with us here. And secondly, a big thank you for our speakers today, Joe, Iraklis, Chris, Sam, and Maurizina, that will be sharing their knowledge with us during this morning. So good morning for the Brazilian startups and people interested in the British market, and good afternoon for everyone that is following us from the Europe and from all the parts of the world. So first of all, one of the biggest pains of any internationalization process to a startup or from a traditional company is to understand how and who to partner with abroad. So if your entrance strategy is to see London as a platform to sell your product or your service into Europe, who to partner with. If you see London as your buyer market, who to partner with. And I think we are here to help to answer some of your questions, to help your entry strategy. And we have all of this Land2Land Connect helping you to establish and rationalize all of your strategy, entrance strategy, through some of our filtered, qualified partner that we are bringing here today in this call to share, and they will share the knowledge of how to speed up this process. So I'm going to share my screen now. Hopefully you're seeing my screen. Briefly about Sebrae. So, but before Sebrae, there is something more important than Sebrae. That is the importance of the small businesses and startups in Brazil. So we are talking about 99% of the Brazilian companies. 30% of the GDP is generated by micro and small businesses in Brazil. More than 55% of the jobs created are coming from small and micro small businesses. And talking about new jobs being created, 75% of the new jobs are created by micro and small companies in Brazil. So it is a huge effort that we need as a public sector to put in the micro and the small business in Brazil, because we truly generate economic development in Brazil. So and that's why Sebrae exists. So we are the Brazilian micro and small business supporting service. We are a non-profit private entity with the mission of promoting the sustainable and the competitive development of the micro and small business in Brazil. Our main role is to foster entrepreneurship, providing guidance to help small businesses to grow and to generate more employment, helping developing the Brazilian economy. We are present in 27 states of the Brazilian Federation, with more than 700 service points where all of the entrepreneurs can talk with a consultant, a Sebrae consultant. Just a little bit about our effort here in Brazil. Just in 2021, we provided more than 11 million consultations to the Brazilian companies. We are talking today about 22 to 23 million of small businesses in Brazil, and Sebrae is responsible today for covering 25%, so almost 5 million businesses are served by Sebrae. Just another number from 2021, and we're growing this year after year. So I like to say that Sebrae represents the strength of the Brazilian entrepreneurship in Brazil. So providing information, we provide publications, researchers, articles, in a way of providing information to them regarding innovation. We have several programs, and Land2Land Connect is one of them, to make small businesses more competitive in a constant changing market. A lot of consultancy. We also help the clients, the small business in Brazil, providing them consultancy on traditional way of creating and maintaining a business, but also a lot of consultants regarding innovation. So how to bring new technology into an industrial segment or an industrial line that a company have here. Also market, we provide a lot of opening marketing opportunities, bringing roundtables and exhibition throughout in Brazil, and also in the digital world, of course, providing knowledge through courses that we created here, specialized in the small business in Brazil. Again, Land2Land Connect, we are here to discuss and how to address this main pain of how to better partner, to speed up and to accelerate the entrance strategy that the company has in Brazil. So the Land2Land Connect is a virtual structured event that connects innovative companies in Brazil that wishes to start or accelerate their internationalization process from a foreign innovation environments and mechanisms, but qualified ones. One big step that we are cutting down, create a shortcut for you here today, is bringing possible partners for your soft land strategy. If you need incubation, if you need acceleration, if you need cross incubation process, Land2Land Connect is the program that will help, not being present, but in a virtual way of working, remote working. These programs help to address all of this pain that I just mentioned. Regarding the stakeholders, we have the Brazilian Association of Science Parks, Business Incubators and Accelerators, Anprotec, as my good friend Rodrigo Mendes just presented. Us as SEBRAE, Brazilian Micro and Small Business Support Service, and of course we need a leg in the Go platform, that is the Brazilian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, representing here the innovation diplomacy program that they have, that covers basically the whole world with different innovation programs, and we are connected in different countries with them also. So we have basically two goals here today. The first one is to help you to initiate your internationalization process of innovative enterprises through the introduction of the virtual solutions that will be presented by our partners, and connections with programs to access these foreign markets, soft landing, incubation, acceleration, all of these different umbrella and this diversity of programs that are offered in today. We're talking about London, so they are of the partners that are there, residing there, and providing this service everywhere. And our second goal here is to accelerate your internationalization process by connecting them, basically with these local service providers, stimulating these bilateral agendas and accessing stakeholders of foreign soft landing, incubation, acceleration program. Again, trying to create a shortcut on who to best partner with in an internationalization strategy. So our agenda today, we have this, my fellows here, Iraklis, that will start representing the Brazilian Embassy in London, followed by Chris Moore from the DIT, the Department of International Trade, Maurizina da Silva from London Partners will be speaking and following by Sam Beni from Tech Nation, and Joe Sanchez will end our session today representing here TechStars. And here I stop and finish my words, and I give back to you, maybe Chris or sorry, Rodrigo. Thank you very much for the opportunity for speaking and opening this event today.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you very much. for presenting and opening this session for us. I will pass the space to Iraklis Tetradis from the Brazilian Embassy in the UK. Iraklis, the Zoom is yours.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Yes, thank you very much. Good morning for whom is in Brazil. Good afternoon for whom is in the UK. I'm Iraklis Tetradis. I work for the Trade and Investment Department of the Embassy. And here we are today to give you some more information about the UK tech sector. And I'm going to give you an overview of the market. Just 1 second, please. You see my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Okay, all right. I've got some delay here. Okay. In today's agenda, I will start by giving you an overview of the Innovation Diplomacy Program. Next, I'll talk about the main indicators of the UK tech sector. Next, I'll talk about funding availability. And I will finish talking about the moment of departure of founders and the failure of startups in the UK. The Innovation Diplomacy Program, PDI, seeks to showcase Brazil as a country that produces knowledge, products, and services in sectors on the scientific frontier, and that has the capacity to be a world reference in certain technologies. In addition to monitoring public policies, this line includes activities aimed at raising Brazil's profile in foreign innovation ecosystems with a view to identifying partnerships and attracting investments, supporting the internationalization of startups, and to foster collaboration between Brazilian and foreign technology parks and innovation environments. The SecTechs, science, technology, and innovation sectors of the Brazilian embassies and consulates abroad are responsible for planning and implementing the PDI actions. The SecTechs work together with the other sections of the embassies to organize and execute the planned actions. Here in this slide, we can see that the SecTech is coordinated with the Trade and Investment Department, where I work, and also the agricultural section. And we've been organizing some type of events that promote Brazil as a destination for techs from the UK, and also techs from Brazil intending to do business in the UK. For instance, we've been organizing some events in the last years. Here I can give you an indication of some of them. We organized and supported, for instance, since the beginning of the pandemic, we organized a series of webinars to promote science in Brazil. The main topics were related to research and development in health, environment, food, and physics. We also organized trade missions with Brazilian agri-techs. And then we had the agri-tech briefing at the embassy. And these techs visited centers of excellence in the UK and participated in business roundtables with investors. We also supported the Department for International Trade, DIT, with the visit of Brazilian fintechs to London during the FinTech Week London. We also, during this year, we worked with the Sebrae for startups to bring tech companies to London to attend the London Tech Week. We also helped the Anprotec to formulate an agenda of technical visits in London for Brazilian incubators and accelerators. And most recently, we organized visits and meetings with key stakeholders for the Brazilian Association of Law Techs and Legal Techs. This is just an overview of what we do at the embassy and what the Brazilian government does for tech companies abroad. And now I'm going to talk about the UK market, really. In this chart, we can see that the European scale-up landscape shows the location of European scale-ups is heavily escalated toward few locations, as 97% of all scale-ups are found in the top 20 scale-ups countries. In this respect, exactly half can be found in the two leading countries, the United Kingdom with 33% and France with 17%. In this table, we can see that the UK positions itself as the European scale-up champion, with 5 cities in the top 20, with about 300 young, fast-growing companies established. Here we can see that the London is the Europe's scale-up capital with 145 scale-ups in 2021, but Cambridge, Birmingham, and Edinburgh also make it to the charts. Moreover, hubs such as Manchester, Bristol, Southampton, and Cardiff are getting very close to the top ones. And regarding unicorns, over the last 2 decades, the UK has become the #1 with more than 100 unicorns. This is more than twice that of Germany, the run-up. And according to the i5 investment publication, the UK had 41 new unicorns in 2021. They raised to date about 23 billion euros and create about 40,000 jobs. Also, regarding the unicorns, we have here the Sunicorns. The publication also analyzed the Sunicorns number. Unicorns are companies that could reach unicorn status in the next 24 months. Again, the UK tops the list with 73 unicorns in 2021. And now I'll give you an overview of the main indicators of the London ecosystem. In the ranking of the best world hubs for startups in 2022, London is the city that occupies the 2nd position. It also ranked 4th in terms of number of qualified professionals, and it is the 2nd city of the most finance in the world ecosystem, with an ecosystem valuated at $314 billion and 14 billion in in early age startups. At this table, which shows the top 30 innovative hubs, London appears in second place, tied with New York, having maximum marks in most all aspects. Note also that São Paulo appears in this study, occupying the 28th position. Availability of funding. The UK VC investment hit a higher record of $15 billion in 2021. The UK has strengthened its position as a number 3 in the world for tech, behind only China and the US. London is also the 4th for tech VC investment globally, behind just San Francisco, Beijing, and New York at $10.6 billion approximately. Cambridge also appears on the list at 8th place. The hub have received about $5.3 billion in venture capital investments so far. Comparing domestic and investments from outside the UK, since 2016, investment from outside the UK has increased very reasonably. It reached its peak in 2019 at 69% of the total VC investment, before dropping by 6% in 2020. Last year, domestic investment made up a slightly higher proportion of the total, at 37%. Nevertheless, the UK tech ecosystem remains as an attractive proposition for international investors, despite the challenging conditions. And also here, we can see that London has attracted increasing attention from investors looking to invest in startups. Between 2018 and 2019, investments rose from $4.7 to $6.7 billion. You see, venture capital investment was one of the fastest growing, corresponding 43%. In 2022, this number increased to $10.6 billion, an increase of 58%. Here, we can see that the amount of sources of funding received by tech companies in the last 3 years became, before the pandemic, venture capital accounted for half of them, followed by angel investment, organic growth of the companies, private equity, and by corporate investments. And according to a survey carried out in 2020, in the UK, there were a total number of 11,770 investors, and of that number, almost 40% were located in London. Now I'm going to talk about fails and exits. Regarding exits, in the ecosystem performance rank, which takes into account other factors such as ecosystem value and startup success, London appears in the second place, behind Silicon Valley and tied up with New York. São Paulo also appears in this rank and occupies the position of 28th. In terms of exit numbers, since 2013, nearly 7,000 UK founders have sold their companies. Of this number, 1/3 of the companies were located in the city of London. As the Silicon Valley Bank's UK Outlook Startup Report shows, the most preferred and most likely exit path selected by businesses is the acquisition, followed by IPO. Some of them stay private. I just, sorry, I kept in Portuguese, but some of them became private, and about 13, 11% we don't have data on what happened to them. And here I highlight some startups that have become great success histories in recent years. We can see that we have Revolut, we have Starling Bank, we have a Gymshark, SaltPay, SumUp. I believe that most of them here are fintechs, but we have other type of techs as well, like Gusto, which is a fintech related to food, and Get, which is an app for cabs. Regarding fails, among the startup failures rate, this publication revealed that since 2014, just over half of all startups survive to the 4th year, while the 4th year startup failure rate is around 44%. And among the various reasons for published by this study, the reasons for failures published in this study include no need for the market. I believe this is some companies that couldn't see this very well. Mismanagement of funds, not building the right team, product and service was outdated, price cost issues, product not user-friendly, product without business model, bad marketing, ignoring customers, and wrong product. Here I have some companies that were considered the biggest startup failures. I can point, for instance, the Biplar, which was for a long time the leading augmented reality startups, and Wonga, which was a prepayment loan company. And this is the end of my presentation. If you need any further advice or information, please feel free to contact me. That's my contact details. Thank you.
Thank you, Iraklis. Thank you very much for your presentation and all these figures about the UK ecosystem. I'd like to remind everyone that are watching us that if you have any questions, please just write them in the chat at YouTube, and then we will ask our panelists here. And I will have one question for you, Iraklis. As the international trade sector for the embassy that helps, of course, gather all this information and brings insights and information for the public on general. If I'm a startup and I want to go to the UK, how can you or the embassy support me? What are the connections or the services? How does the embassy supports a company that is starting or wants to start take their business to the UK, for example?
Yes, that's interesting. Yes, every case is very different. Yes, but we normally held some events at the embassy where we connect companies from Brazil to companies in the UK or potential investors. So we normally try to bring in companies. For instance, as I mentioned, we had the agri-tech companies in the UK. So we selected some agri-techs in Brazil, and they came to visit visit Europe and excuse me, and understand more about the UK market. But they also visit Amsterdam, and where they could learn more about their market. So it was a mission that we organized with these companies in Brazil. And also we received lots and lots of, how can I say, inquiries from Brazilian companies intending to come to the UK. So our team, we advise them on how to get into the UK market. We provide some information regarding the trends and opportunities, what sectors they could benefit from, some type of investor visas or innovator visas, type of visas that they can apply here in the UK. I believe that my colleague Chris is going to talk more about this. And we also get some information from the DIT. We send them to the DIT, which is Department of International Trade in the UK. And they have, I believe, a robust list of information that they can provide to the Brazilian companies.
Okay, thank you very much, Iraklis. And I guess we will learn a little bit more about the other side now with Chris. And at the end, we can join both parts. It's going to be
yes, just sorry to interrupt. Yes, just to mention that we work in partnership with the DIT. So we have working together with many events and trade missions. So as I mentioned before, we worked with Brazilian fintech. So our embassy supported the DIT to bring the fintechs to the UK during the Fintech Week London, and also with some other institutions in Brazil, for instance, Anprotec, that we supported, and we helped to organize an agenda for Brazilian incubators and accelerators that wanted to learn more about the UK.
Okay, thank you very much. Iraklis, so if anyone have any questions, you have Iraklis contact, and don't hesitate, contact them directly as well. Now, moving on, thank you very much, Iraklis. I will pass to Chris Moore. As I mentioned, is Technology, Entrepreneurship and Mobility Director at Department of International Trade, the DIT, for the UK government. Chris, nice to see you again.
Yeah, hi, Rodrigo. Nice to see you again. And thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about the UK to this Brazilian audience. I'm just going to bring my my presentation up. So just bear with me while I do this. Okay, I hope everybody can see the slides.
Yes. Sorry, Chris, we are actually looking at the PowerPoint mode, presentation mode. We can see our notes and next slides and everything.
Yeah. Is that good?
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
So I'm very pleased to be following Iraklis, because he has already presented a lot of the positive reasons why you may want to consider the UK. My role here, as has been said by Rodrigo, is to support companies that are looking to set up in the UK for the first time, or if they're already here, to help them to grow their business. I cover right across the technology spectrum, and in fact, I have visited Brazil several times. So most of the major clusters from Porto Alegre in the south through São Paulo and all the way up to Recife. So it's a very familiar market for me. Now, from my point of view, whoops, let's try that one again. Sorry. If you think about why the UK would be a good destination, it is a very strong economy, but it's also a very well linked economy to many other parts of the world. So if you're looking to come to the European region and use the UK to access other markets in Europe and to the Middle East and further afield, then you can certainly do that all from the UK. Now, in addition, the digital part of that economy is very strong and growing very, very significantly. And I think you heard Iraklis talk about the strengths of the VC community in the UK. If you are looking to raise funding in the European region, there is nowhere easier than the UK. Most international funds have a presence in the UK, and there are many funds here that have been investing in tech startups for many, many years. As a consequence of that, we see a huge amount of unicorns that you've already heard about, and also initial public offerings. So if companies want to float on the stock market, it's very easy to do that here. But I think one of the other things to really remember is that the UK is a very easy place to do business. Companies and individuals love technology. So if you have a tech business, then you will find getting traction with customers a lot easier here than in some other markets. But as you begin to build your business, accessing the talent is really important. And again, we have a very strong community of universities and a strong heritage in Nobel Prizes. Now, I think Iraklis showed you this chart about unicorns, so I won't dwell on that. But just also to say that if you talk to startups and entrepreneurs and ask them where they think the best place is, and this is entrepreneurs from all over the world, then London consistently comes top of that analysis. And this shows that there is something very special about the UK ecosystem for startups and entrepreneurs. Now, you heard again Iraklis talk about some of these other key clusters outside of London. I'm based near Cambridge, and Cambridge is very strong in areas like health tech and in green tech. But as you look across the whole of the country, just as in Brazil, there are many digital clusters. Here are some of those clusters and some of their specialities. So for instance, you heard, I think again, talk of Edinburgh, which is very strong in AI and data science. So it doesn't really matter which technology area you're in, we can certainly recommend a specific cluster, a specific region of the country that would be good for you to grow your business in. And of course, remembering that although London is the center of the country, it's the heart of the financial services industry, there are many other strong clusters too. So cities like Manchester, where you can operate at a much lower cost than you can in London. And again, DIT and our regional partners can help you to navigate the whole of the country. Now, if we think about technology and some of the strengths of the UK, I just have two examples. One is about artificial intelligence, which is arguably the most exciting area of technology right now. There have been many reports pointing to the significance of AI. But again, you can see from these numbers in the chart that the UK is very strong for investment in artificial intelligence and data science companies. Coupled to that, the fact that the UK government has continued to support investment in this area, has grown the skills pool and is investing in R&D, means that if you're looking to access AI talent, AI opportunities, the UK represents a great opportunity. And again, to echo what we were just talking about different clusters, here are some of the key clusters across the country focusing on AI. But this analysis we can help you with for any other subsector as well. And indeed, there are special initiatives in different parts of the country. So for instance, for AI in Leeds, where we can provide additional help and support, and there are dedicated soft landing programs. Now, many companies in Brazil will be interested in sustainability and clean tech. And again, UK is quite strong, having invested a significant amount of money to drive the innovation portfolio. and also providing further support for companies that are looking to set up in technologies that will support net zero. Now, again, as you heard Rodrigo say in the introduction, accelerators and incubators are really important for the startup community. And the UK is very strong in this domain as well. In fact, there are more than 400 incubators and accelerator programs well established in the UK. Of course, in London, so internationally recognized programs like TechStars, but also programs that have grown in London specifically, like EF, which focuses on data science and AI. Equally well across the rest of the country, so places like Scotland and Wales, you will find other specific regionally based accelerator and growth programs. But I think what's more interesting and what's happened in the last 10 years or so is the growth of sector-specific programs. So as you can see from the slide, here are some examples, and these are located right across the country. So in digital health, in cybersecurity, in Internet of Things, in digital marketing, and even in fashion tech. So there are many, many examples to choose from. And finally, on this slide, just to say that the corporates in the UK are also very strongly connected to the ecosystem of acceleration. So here you will recognize some familiar names, particularly Wayra, which is backed by Telefonica, has a very strong presence in Latin America, but also has run 6, 7, 8 separate programs in the UK as well. Now, the UK's network for entrepreneurs, TechNation, and we will have Sam talking about TechNation in a little while, runs growth programs. And these growth programs, again, help to develop the next generation of Soonicorns and unicorns through programs like Upscale and Future 50, but also through dedicated programs focusing on particular technology areas like cyber and fintech and net zero. Now, some of you may be interested in research and development, and the UK, again, is a very strong location for conducting research. So the UK's Research and Innovation Organisation, which is the group that funds research programs, has a budget which is very, very significant at more than £8 billion. And they have different programs that focus on different types of opportunity. So, for instance, if your product or service is close to market, then the programs offered by Innovate UK would be appropriate. Whereas if it's longer term, more fundamental tech development, then the Industrial Strategy Challenge Fund may be of interest to you. There are many ways to engage with universities, but some I think that might be particularly interesting are short-term projects with centres for doctoral training. There are more than 100 of these across the country, covering all sorts of different technologies, from AI to cyber to financial computing. And then the knowledge transfer partnerships, which are subsidized initiatives that help you work with a university over a short-term period. All of this is supported by tax incentives, so things like R&D tax credits, but also if you happen to be in the creative industries, there are further tax relief options available for you as well. Now, a moment ago, I mentioned this Industrial Strategy Challenge Fund. To give you an idea of what that kind of tech development is involved with, here are some examples. So it goes from everything looking at next generation services, which is looking at the application of AI and data science, to areas like insurance and financial services more generally, to autonomous cars and transforming food production, which is looking at the application of AI and IoT, drone technologies to farming. And of course, really long-term technologies like quantum. Now, the UK's innovation agency, Innovate UK, also supports a series of innovation centres. These are called the catapults, and the idea here is that you take your product or your idea and try to accelerate it to market. There are many examples of these, but two that might be relevant to this audience. If you're interested in new technology for drug discovery, or healthcare more generally, the Medicines Discovery Catapult could be relevant. And if you're interested in smart cities technologies, then the Connected Places Catapult could be relevant. And in the north of the country, in Scotland, there is a further series of innovation centres that help companies to work small companies to work with large companies and with universities. And in particular, one of them, Sanchez, is focused on IoT and sensor systems. And the other one, the Data Lab, is much more around the application of data science and analytics to a number of industrial applications. Now, going back to the funding, we talked about the UK being a great location to raise funding, but there is a lot of help available from these organizations like the British Business Bank and the Business Angels Association. So we have all of the funding mechanisms that you would expect, plus some additional ones which are perhaps less common in some markets like crowdfunding, and of course many resources that are available to help you. There is not sufficient time to go through a lot of this in detail today, but if you are interested in raising funding, then DIT can help you to navigate this ecosystem. There is one special program which is run by DIT, which is called our Global Entrepreneurs Program. And this is a program that helps entrepreneurs come to the UK and to grow their business. In particular, the way that this works is that a company where the entrepreneurs, the founders, want to come and move the HQ to the UK and to grow the business from the UK, this program would be relevant. You can apply to this program, and if you're accepted, then we would appoint a deal maker to you. And when you come to the UK, this deal maker, who is typically a serial entrepreneur, would help you to, one, access market opportunities, find customers, and two, raise funding and help you with your growth. So again, we can provide a lot more information about this program if that is relevant to you. Now, there are other ways that we can also help. And clearly, as you begin to grow your business in the UK, you'll be interested, of course, in the technical skills, of which the UK is very strong in all of those areas too, like business development, marketing, sales. And there are many mechanisms to help you bring that talent in. So, for instance, we run apprenticeship programs, which are subsidized to somewhere around the 90% to attract talent into your company. So there are recruitment fairs. Yes.
Please, I'm sorry to interrupt. We had some bad connection process. We lost your screen. You were off and back on again.
Okay.
It was really quick, but we lost your screen.
Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Not yet.
Okay. Let me see if I can do this. I'm sorry for the technical problems.
No worries.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
We are. Yeah.
Okay. Is that back
Perfect.
to? Oops. Sorry. Oh, sorry. 1 second. That was the wrong one.
Perfect.
Okay. So I was talking about the Global Entrepreneurs Program, and then I was talking about talent. And the final piece I was going to say about talent is that the UK now has a points-based visa system. This means that if you are trying to bring in people from Brazil to the UK, or from the rest of Europe, or from the US, or from wherever, the system is all the same. So this makes it in some ways easier. But we also have several different visa categories which are designed to help startup companies come. There's an entrepreneur's visa. There is a visa for startups. There's a visa for people who are very experienced from a technical point of view, a global talent visa. And in particular, that Global Entrepreneurs Program helps, if you are accepted onto that program, it can help with some of the visa authorization part as well. Now, again, visas are a complicated issue. There isn't sufficient time to talk about all of the details today, but we do have a dedicated team that supports companies that are looking to come to the UK to access the right visa. And finally, DIT is here to help you. We have offices across Brazil, but we also have offices around the world. And of course, if you are looking for specific help to try and understand what the ecosystem looks like for fintech, for AI, for healthcare, whichever is your area of interest, we can certainly help with that. But also on the practical side, if you need to set up a bank account, get the right kind of visa, establish an office, be it a virtual office or an office, a physical office, we can help with all of those things. And indeed, when you start to recruit people, the practicalities of the recruitment process as well. Having established a UK presence, then we can also help you to access other opportunities, be they accessing markets across the rest of the European region, or the Middle East, or Asia, or further afield. This is all available from DIT, and therefore, if you are interested to take this further, please reach out to our colleagues in Sao Paulo initially, but feel free to reach out to me directly as well. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much for all these detailed presentation on the DIT services and programs that you have. I'd like to ask you one thing. What we see on average when a startup is thinking about the internationalization process, if they are on starting a scale-up process, sometimes they want to access the market and understand it a little bit. Sometimes they want to start with a commercial office to validate the market, to understand the market fit of the services and so on. And after that, they will move to setting up the whole businesses, hiring talents, or even flipping the headquarters to this country. Thinking about this process, what would you recommend, or how could a Brazilian startup that is thinking to follow this path, how they will connect with you and how they would go through the processes?
So I think the first step is having a conversation with DIT. So we have colleagues, as I mentioned, who are based in Sao Paulo and other parts of Brazil. So Cristiano Andrade, who's my counterpart in Sao Paulo, would be the kind of person the company would talk to get an understanding of what the plan would look like. But we're very happy to help a company who says, actually, we just need to have one person in the UK to test the market to start with. We'll have that person maybe sitting in London, and then in 6 months' time, we may want to create a formal entity and therefore have several people in the UK. And actually, we might choose to be in London, but we might choose to be in Birmingham. In which case, at that point, we would identify one of our colleagues in the investment services team. This is a group that is set up to help companies coming to the UK with all of these practical items, like setting up a bank account, getting the visa, finding the office location. And then if the company has got 2 or 3 people here, and then, as you said, they may say, okay, well, we'd like to move the HQ here, or not. Maybe we'll never do that because we want to retain the HQ in Brazil. Whichever the model is, we can, 1, provide advice and guidance about different options, but 2, to help with the next stages. And if the company then says, actually, we now want to create an innovation center and we want to recruit 10 people, then again, that's another discussion. But we're here to help at every stage of that journey. And it's free of charge, I should say, as well.
That's great. So it really, because sometimes people might think that, okay, it's one shot and I'll have to decide the strategy. And no, actually, we can go from step by step and always count on DIT to help. That's
absolutely.
Great.
Yes, that's right, Robert.
Great. One other question, a very quick one, so we can move on. But is the UK working on anything related to the digital nomads, as many countries are working now with programs or special visa process for these so-called digital nomads?
So yes, I mean, I think we had an initiative to support with virtual offices, because we recognize that people may not want or need to be based in a specific location. So if a company says, well, we want to have 6 people in the UK, but they're all going to be virtual, that's okay. We can still help with that. And I think the whole emphasis on making visas easier and more straightforward is designed to recognize that people need to come and go. And it may be that somebody would spend 3 months in Brazil and 9 months in the UK, and that's fine from our point of view as well. So yes, we recognize that digital nomads are certainly a phenomenon of this particular time, and we are trying very hard to make sure we make it as easy for people. And in some respects, I'm a digital nomad myself. I spend a lot of time on planes and trains and traveling around, and I will be coming to Brazil in the first part of next year. I hope in March, so to be in Brazil.
Great. I hope to meet you here again.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Chris, for your presentation. So now, moving on, I will pass the word to Maurizina da Silva from London and Partners. She's the head of Business Growth Program. So Mauri.
Hello, Rodrigo. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Can you see my my
Yes,
screen?
yes.
Very good.
Yes, I can.
Just
Perfect.
a problem here with my just before I start with my we tested it before, it worked perfectly, but when I needed to work, then it just stopped for me, actually, but not for everybody else. But as you can see my screen, I hope that we can move on the slides as it should. So thank you so much for inviting me and for being part of this conversation. It is amazing for me to be following Iraklis and Chris as well. I've known them for some time. They've made my job much easier by talking about London and talking about the UK ecosystem. I'm here today to talk about London and Partners as an organization that offers support to scale-ups and to startups. These are my details. As you said, my name is Maurizina da Silva. I am Brazilian myself. I've been in the UK for the last 20 plus years. I've worked with the Brazilian Embassy, worked with other American organizations here in the UK, and I've been with London and Partners for the last several years, but with this program specifically for the last 4.5 years. London and Partners as an organization has, I've got my slide in the other screen, so forgive me, I'm going to be looking to the other side so then I can follow the slides because my main screen is not working. So London and Partners as an organization has been set up in 2011 to ensure that London has one single strategy to support businesses, tourists and students coming to London. Since we were initially established, we have moved on with the changes that have been happening in the city. We moved on from being a not-for-profit organization to a social enterprise, and we are the London Business Growth and Destination Agency supporting the GLA, which is the Greater London Authority, the Mayor's Office. We are funded by grants and some of our own initiatives to make sure that we carry on being using our own profits to invest in the business. Our mission is really to create economic growth that is resilient, that is sustainable and inclusive, to make sure that everyone in London, every founder in London feels part of the ecosystem and feels supported in whatever they try to achieve for their own businesses. And when you talk about founders in London, we are talking about foreign founders coming to the UK, establishing a presence in London, as well as indigenous businesses that have been created from the city and in the city. We help to promote London in several different fronts. As I said, business is one of them. We help high growth companies. We help international companies. We've got scale-ups and startups also as part of our ecosystem. But we also have an amazing team that helps to promote London for foreign as a foreign destination. So we've got offices in several countries. I'm going to go to areas where we are in a few minutes, but it's mainly to make sure that foreign tourists see London as an attractive place, a place that they would want to spend time and enjoy their free time, as well as their business opportunities, or to stay over when they come on business. We also help to ensure that we are strengthening London's reputation overseas, and we work making sure that several initiatives that's part of our venture partnerships and venture is also in place to support ourselves, but also and mostly and foremost the companies that we work with. We are in London, that's our head office, but we also have offices in North America, Canada and the US. We also have offices in Germany and France, and we work with all of the other European countries as well. We have offices in India, and we've got offices in China. We are in a growth and an expansion project, but at the moment these are our main markets. Since 2011, since we've been created, we have helped to create economic growth for London. Most of it is related to how much we bring back into the London economy with the support that we offer. And 2.7 billion has been added to the London economy since when we started through projects that we have supported. That has also created over 70,000 jobs to London, and these are created by the companies that we've been supporting to grow here. I'm going to focus, even though we have several areas of work, I'm going to be focusing mostly on the international trade and investment side of it, particularly the Business Growth Program and the Mayor's International Business Program. Foreign direct investment is something that is done aligned very, very much with what Chris and Iraklis had said before, helping companies to set up in London. Chris and his team would work with companies all over the UK. We are working with companies that are specifically looking for help to set up and to grow here in London. The Mayor's International Business Program has been around for about 6 years. We have been working with scale-up companies and have helped over 1,200 companies since the inception of the program. To be part of the program, companies need to have a presence here, have an office, a physical office in London. But as Chris mentioned, we acknowledge that now, and especially after the pandemic, a lot of people are based in several different areas of the country. So as long as there is a base here and they're employing at least 10 people across their different offices or working from home, they are still entitled to be part of the program. We also do a certain due diligence at the beginning when they apply to be part of the program to make sure that they are seen as what we use as a definition of a scale-up, have showed that they can grow 20% year on year, as again, employing at least 10 employees, and they have had at least 1 million of investment or are generating at least 1 million of revenue. And if that's the case, then they are part of the program. Most of what is done in the program is through workshops, but also trade missions. And the trade missions are across a matrix between countries that are of interest of the companies that are part of the program, but also the sectors that we support. We've got a few main priority sectors. They are in the financial, business services and technology, as we call it now. We are reviewing all of this, but at the moment we've got as we call it, FBST. And this is mostly to support companies that are in the financial sector. London is a very strong place for companies in the financial sector, fintechs, including in cybersecurity, also HR tech, SaaS platforms, and companies working with data and blockchain. We also have innovation in life science. With innovation in life sciences, making sure that we are supporting companies in the health care sector, medical technology, but well-being and wellness is also something that we look very closely. Again, the pandemic made some of these sectors, especially the ones that are supporting people remotely, the sector just grew, and we know and acknowledge that there is a huge market there, and we've been working with them very closely. Urban is more linked to clean tech and energy, also prop tech and sustainability and smart cities. The creative sector has a very strong group, a very big group of companies strongly working with advertising, marketing, but also design. Film, TV, radio, and photography is something that London has as a very strong sector. But fashion tech and sustainable fashion tech is something that we have focused a lot in the last couple of years, particularly with the changes that's been happening in the sector. The program itself is funded by the European Regional Development Fund, so it is part still of the legacy investment that we received as a country from the European Union. But this particular program has also some private sector partners supporting the delivery of the program. They're involved in anything and everything that is done by the program, be it trade missions, workshops, also in our launch events, and making sure that all of the conversations that we are having has also the backup of and the knowledge that they have in their own area of expertise. And we've been working with Microsoft as a close partner in this program specifically. Wilkinson Smith is an accountancy firm. Taylor Wessing is a solicitor, and similar Wilson Sonsini. And Globalization Partners help with the talent part, which was something that has been mentioned before as something that the UK, but also London is very strong in Cyclone. So this combination of private and public has worked very well, and companies have given us very positive feedback so far in their participation. We have worked with several companies that are now seen as unicorns, but we have also worked, and it was interesting when I saw Blipar's logo in Iraklis presentation. We worked with them, and as you can see, they've raised a lot of money before they unfortunately happened what happened to the company. But we've worked with very strong and good companies that are still going, and we keep on supporting them. This is just a view of some of the companies that we have worked with. I'm not too sure which companies would be very familiar to the Brazilian audience, but I guess Brompton is the folding bicycle that I think a lot of people know of. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is in the hospitality sector. Perhaps you came across them. LV works with female products, breast pumps, etc. Bloom and Wild is delivery of flowers. So there are loads of companies that we supported. And looking just here at Olio, which is a food tech company that helps to make sure that if you have any food waste, it's passed on in a way that is sustainable and you avoid wasting food. So huge group of companies there. And this is just a very quick testimony that we had from one of the companies that we had, just saying that how much the program has helped them to accelerate their growth. A couple of case studies just to illustrate the work that we do. This is SoPost is a company in the marketing technology sector. We helped them making sure that they are targeting their audiences better. The main challenges that they had when they came to us was accessing new markets and recruitment and internationalization. At the end of their participation in the program, they managed to grow their team in Europe and achieve new markets by bringing on new clients from those markets. So it's a good case study for us. It isn't a huge company, but it just shows that if the company is interested and if they look for support, their key targets and goals can be achieved. Spirus is a company in the life sciences sector. When they came to us, they found it very difficult to navigate the regulatory and clinical pathways in London. They also wanted to make sure that they had more clients committed to trials, and they had only one person in the company. At the end of their participation, and this program is totally free of charge, companies usually come and stay with us for about 12 months. So when they left the program, they had secured contracts, new contracts with the company. They had also grown their team. They had secured grants, and they were also part of a group of companies that were seen as the one companies to watch as new technologies would be emerging. So for us, no matter this just gives an example of no matter how big the company is, we would be trying to help them as much as possible. I will then move on to the business growth program, which is the program that I had. I have a wonderful team. They do the hard job, actually. I'm just the one that speaks a lot in the team, but we've been around since 2017. We were created basically to make sure that the companies that came to London found a place where they would see their growth moving forward. So companies come to London, they set up here, or they set up their own operations in London. They don't know exactly what to do. Most of the time, founders for the first time, they're not too sure how to set up their strategies. And this is where this program comes to hand. We have been around for many years, helping companies to address 5 main barriers for growth. One is related to people. So we've got people strategies, raising funds and finance, business planning, engaging with audiences, and sales, which are the areas that over the first few 6 months of the program, we found that would be the most helpful ones to focus to help companies in this space. To join this program, which is also free, the company would have to be employing at least 3 full-time employees. They have to have a presence in London. They have to have a very good growth ambition and a plan in place to make sure that we know how to set their direction of travel, help them to achieve and move on in that growth with their growth strategy. We help companies mostly with workshops. We have a network of over 100 mentors that are actively connected to. We have a structured mentoring program that companies then go on to work very closely with specific professionals with specific skills to make sure that they move on with their strategies. But we also have our own partners, London Partners, as it says in the name. We've got partners in several different areas, so we connect them with the ecosystem as well as those partners. And we help them with their supply chain. So small businesses a lot of them have ambition to work with large corporates. So one of the things that we do is make sure that we organize events, as we call them, Meet the Corporate. And with the Meet the Corporate, we have large corporates telling us what their main challenges are. And in doing that, we invite startups that would then have a potential solution to have a conversation and make sure that from that conversation they follow up, and we encourage partnerships from that moment onwards. We recognize that fund is a big challenge for a lot of the companies that we work with, especially because they are very small. So we then also organize and we facilitate as many introductions as possible to investors. We have events that we call Meet the Investor, and in the Meet the Investor, we have one-to-one sessions where founders can have feedback from investors who are actively looking for companies to invest, but also to make sure that in those conversations, they have feedback in terms of how can they improve their pitch deck, for example, or what kind of information that it's missing, or for their specific product, what could be more attractive in focusing on when speaking to investors for their current rounds, or even for future rounds. If you are in a seed, for example, in a seed round, you would probably have an eye already in what would be coming next. So making sure that in the program, we try and make sure that the company aligns their strategy with their vision, with their growth plan, and at the same time, we give them the foundation to potentially create partnerships at the same time that they're also looking at investment and making those connections with investors. This is just a very brief snapshot of our client journey, making sure that they come, we understand their needs. We have conversations with what we call as a diagnostic session. After that diagnostic session, we create a plan, a growth plan specifically for the company, and they go on to attend workshops and make the connections as they need. Our program is slightly shorter than the Mayor's International Business Program. This one is only 3 months, but we work in a very tight and very concise, packed, I would say, a schedule to make sure that we have all the 5 areas of support delivered to the companies. Since when we started, we have in our alumni just over 1,000 companies that have completed the program successfully. Our conversion rate of companies that sign up for our programs to companies that end the program is quite high. We work with a ratio of about 85 to 90% of companies completing the program, which we find very helpful in terms of our own ERDF targets, because we are purely funded by the European Regional Development Fund, which, again, as I said before, is a legacy pot of money that comes from the European Union. We have worked with some smaller companies, but I'm not sure if you would have heard of them. Safe in the City is a company that's very interesting to providing. It's about mobility, providing specifically a solution specifically for companies, for people, for female, or people who find that they feel vulnerable when walking, especially at night and in roads that they're not very knowledgeable of. We also have Oddbox, and I'll just mention them later as a case study, and some other smaller companies. So for this program, no matter how small they are, we would never say no. It's just a matter of making sure that we've got a space for companies to be part of the program as and when we have new cohorts. And because of the volume of applications that we receive, then we run those cohorts more often during the year. Again, a quote from Oddbox. They were a brilliant company when they came to us. They were not very well known in London yet. One of their main objectives is to lessen food waste. And the reason why they're called Oddbox, for you who do not know them, here in the UK, we have an idea of going to the supermarket and buying fruits and vegetables that are perfectly shaped, the right color. It's changing a little bit after the pandemic and, with the current economic situation. But at the time, it was all about being pretty and perfect, and Oddbox would sell products that are odd-shaped, not necessarily the one that you would pick up on the supermarket if you're doing your normal shopping. And since they joined the program almost as an unknown startup, they raised 3 million round. They also became a B Corp, which is a company that has a certification to say that they're sustainable. It's a very rigid process, but they went through successfully. And they managed to upskill their marketing team by being part of our engaging with audiences sessions, and being part also of other workshops. I've got 2 more case studies that I'm going to just mention briefly, and then I'm done. This one is a company, Out of Order Design is a company in the creative and design agency. They would like, when they came to us, they wanted to grow their strategy and focus more in sales and accelerate their sales. And at the end, they implemented a new quoting system, and they created their own sales cycle process and to be able to sell their own products with more confidence. They also, through our introduction, started working with King's College, the V&A, which is the Victoria and Albert Museum, one of our main museums here in London, and Somerset House, as well as expanding their teams and their process, which is, for us, is just what we want to hear, really, to make sure that companies make the most out of the program. This is my last case study, which is really a small startup working with AI and in the fintech space. They came to us saying that what they wanted was to raise 1 million because they had to raise 1 million. And going through the program, the founder really understood that going to a VC wasn't necessarily the best way of growing the business. They also took a very different outlook to their own business and changed their whole strategy to make sure that they were focusing more in their product and not necessarily only in raising funds. And in doing that, they secured very good conversations with some public, some of the UK departments, public departments. Also forged some partnerships with Capgemini, which is a big consultancy firm, and Silicon Valley Bank. They also raised a little bit of awareness of what fund looks like beyond VC, which is, and that was through conversations with organizations like FSC that runs the debt fund part of the Fund in London pot of money. And with that, I'll just share my contact details once again, in case anyone wants to speak to me or with one of my colleagues in the international trade department. This is my mobile phone, my email, and if you want, just connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer any questions. I've been in the UK, as I said, for a long time. I know the ecosystem quite well, and I have a huge network, so always happy to share and pass on the knowledge that I've been gathering for the last few years by working with and for UK organizations. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I will stop here. And I just need to find a way of stop sharing my screen because I have this very weird setup now. Oh, here I am, and hopefully I'll be able to do that.
Thank you very much, Maurizina, for this amazing presentation and lots of information. We have some questions. The first one is, as you don't have a London Partners office in LATAM, you showed the ones. The first question is there any expectation of having an office in LATAM? And if we don't have a direct office, a Brazilian startup would have to contact you and start connecting with the FDI team and then make the first process of joining the program through the foreign investment, setting up the business in London, and after that, trying to get in the business growth program. Would be like something like that. How can we happen here?
Yes. So the journey is really, and for a company that is set up overseas, yes, you are absolutely right. We would be helping the company primarily to set up their presence in the UK. We work very closely with the IT and with Chris's colleagues as well. So as Chris said, my initial, if you don't know anything about the UK, if you don't know anything about London, and you want to decide whether, because first of all, you need to decide whether that is the right market for you, the right place for you to be. So the IT team in São Paulo or in other areas of Brazil will be the best ones to go for. And because we work so closely, if those colleagues then understand that the company really wants to go to London, they are more likely to pass their details to us, and then we get into the conversation. And in answer to your first question, unfortunately, you don't have an office in Latin America. We'd love to, but we have been working for several years with some of our priority markets, and we sort of cover the Americas with North America, and our colleagues that are there usually work a lot with companies that go from Brazil up to North America and then cross over to Europe. So working with the IT, working with my colleagues here in London, setting up a presence then helps us who would be delivering the support in the UK, in London specifically, with their growth strategy. So set up your presence in the UK or in London. Come to us to grow in London, specifically through the business growth program, and then moving on to the Mayor's International Program to then understand what other markets beyond the UK can you access. And with the Mayor's International Business Program, you then have that international journey springboard from London.
Great, perfect. Thank you very much, Maurizina, for joining us and presenting. I hope we can have some Brazilian startups connecting with you in London.
Yes, please. Yeah, you've got my contacts. Please feel free to pass it on to everybody.
Thank you. Well, now moving on, we'll have Beni. I see he's already here. He's the head of innovation at TechNation. So Sam, nice to see you again. Thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us in this event today. The floor is yours. Please, thank you very much.
Good morning or good afternoon from wherever you're joining us. And thank you very much, Rodrigo. It's my pleasure. I'm not sure if you can hear me well. Is all good?
Okay, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Awesome. I'm going to start sharing my screen and go through my presentation. Here we go. All right, so I'm just going to go through a quick intro to TechNation, what we do, who we are, and overall about our support of UK tech ecosystem, similar to my colleagues. I'm Sam Beni, Head of Innovation. TechNation is the growth platform for tech companies and leaders. Our vision is the world in which anyone with vision and drive can access the skills and support needed to scale and succeed as a game-changing leader. And our purpose is to fuel the growth of game-changing founders, leaders, and scaling companies so they can positively transform societies, economies, and outcomes. Our customers are ambitious digital tech founders and their executive teams and corporates. To go through some numbers, you'll see some interesting companies on the right-hand side, as many of the unicorns have graduated from our set of programs. Some companies such as Checkout.com, DropTrades, Deliveroo, Revolut, Just Eat, Monzo, Funding Circle, and many more. We have supported over 4,000 scale-up over the past decade, 41 programs being delivered. 28.1 billion investment have been raised through our programs, and 1/3 of all unicorns in the UK have attended one of our programs. And we had 16 IPOs so far, and as you see here, almost 6,000 visa application process. And the visa side is TechNation Visa, Global Talent Visa Tier 1, and TechNation is the sole endorser of that talent visa, which I will go through in further information later in this presentation. We had over 63,000 academy learners on our academy, and 80 data reports being delivered, and overall 600 million been added to the UK economy through GVA. So we have, when we have started in 2011, it was established the Tech City. David Cameron, the Prime Minister then, has announced it. So for 2 years, been part of the government. In 2013, span out, became Tech City. And in Tech City, until 2017, been operating, and in 2017 merged with another organization called Tech North to unite it to create the Tech Nation. So it wouldn't only support London and Manchester at the time, but the whole nation going forward. But also in 2019, we have expanded internationally. So we have employees in other countries who support our companies in the UK to expand to other regions. We have recently celebrated a decade of UK tech with Google for Startup, because it was a decade for them and including a decade for us as Tech Nation. And we've got some interesting data to go through. VC investment into the UK is now the third globally, hitting a record high of 30 billion in 2021 and 13 billion invested in 2022. And this is, by the way, just until a few months ago. And the value of the UK startup and scale-up ecosystem has risen to 1 trillion. There are only 3 countries that have over $1 trillion overall worth of scale-up and startup ecosystem is US, China, and UK. And for a population of 67 million, as UK has, comparing it to 1.6 billion China, for 400 million US, it's a great feat for the UK tech ecosystem to be able to achieve this. And we have now over 130 tech unicorns. So again, this is one of the 3 only countries on the planet who have achieved over 100 tech unicorns, is US, China, and UK. And now we have over 130 tech unicorns that call UK their home. Quite interestingly, this year, this is first time for ever that UK has surpassed China and India as the second in terms of startup and scale-up investment in the world after US. Obviously, like the US is still #1 and is not in terms of like comparison of the amount of investment, not really comparable with the second, which is UK. But this is again great feat for UK as a tech ecosystem to be able to achieve the second in terms of investment this year, above India and China in tech ecosystem, tech startups in the UK. The UK deep tech investment has risen 33 times since 2011, topping 8.5 billion. Again, is the highest in Europe, over 13 billion euros, as you can see on the right hand side. And it showcases that ultimately UK is one of the science superpowers and enabling the tech companies to be able to specialize in deep tech. And fintech is still UK's #1 in terms of the contribution to the ecosystem in terms of the size of these companies. So 41% of them is in this sector, and they get 34% investment for this sector. But this data is from last year. This year is being generated. And quite interestingly, since 2011, we have doubled more than people that actually are working in the tech ecosystem. So there've been over 2 million people who've been working in the tech ecosystem in the UK. Now we've got over 5 million people in the UK working in tech startups and scale-ups, which is again brilliant for the UK tech ecosystem. The UK has over 9,000 firms that have potential to export their digital products and services globally. These companies likely have an early growth focus on domestic and European markets. However, they can expand to other regions such as Latin America if they're interested. And the UK is well positioned to be able to expand the exports of digital products and services over the next 5 years using record levels of venture capital, world leading support and resources to grow global market share. So going through again Tech Nation, we provide various supports and toolkits for the founders to be able to scale their companies, including growth programs. These are the accelerator-like programs, such as Applied AI, Upscale, Feature 50, and so on, which I will go through further details. But Upscale, our program for mid-stage companies that are raising Series B, so between Series A to Series B, by Sifted in 2020, have been selected as UK's #1 accelerator for scaling companies. And how our programs work in terms of the size is initially started as a competition, as a pitching competition, or Horizon Stars, and we've got a founders network for early stage founders. And when they raise their seed, they ultimately are eligible to be able to apply for one of 4 our programs. Libra is for underrepresented founders, Applied AI is for AI companies, FinTech for FinTech companies, and Net Zero companies for the companies who are reducing carbon emission or are sustainable enabled. And these are the companies who are looking to raise Series A, and we support them to be able to get that and support them in every areas of their business to scale from sales and marketing, talent to investment to operations and many other areas. And for the companies who have achieved Series A or have over $1.5 million in terms of revenue or 20% month-on-month growth, they are eligible to apply for Upscale or Net Zero X. Upscale is for the companies that are in Series A, and Net Zero X is specifically designed as a next stage to Net Zero. And for our final stage of the growth, for the late stage or pre-IPO companies for Series B, we have the famous Future 50. This is our flagship program and the first program we have started. And Future 50 is on the 11th iteration this year. And again, this is for the later stage companies. As we've seen, for example, this year, we've got companies such as Zilch or GraphCore and many other interesting companies in late stage. We also have got international programs specifically for international expansion in different regions. So how we connect all of these dots together in terms of sector, stages, skills, and research is through our own growth platform. And growth platform is the platform that we have built internally for the UK tech ecosystem. And we have so far, after 5 months of operation of the growth platform, achieved to have half of the UK tech ecosystem as of the tech scale-ups and startups on the platform. This is specifically designed for them to be able to connect, learn from each other, and have that peer-to-peer perspective, as well as consume any specific data and content on scaling different sides of their organization, from investment to sales to many other areas that they experience. We have identified 900 scaling challenges that we have produced various content in different mediums to be able to support them to be able to scale their organization, as well as to be able to connect together on the platform, similar to LinkedIn, but a specifically exclusive platform for them. So just going through what the platform is, I'm going to just quickly go through this video. Is 2 minutes.
Leading a scale up can feel like you're not on your own. Discover the UK's most powerful scaling playbook. We've identified over 900 scaling challenges, packed full of game-changing solutions, a personalized content feed, data and benchmarking for decision-making, advice from leading experts, peer groups to solve problems, events for inspiration and guidance, support for you and your team all the way from seed to IPO. Access the UK's leading scaling network. Save time, save money, scale fast. Join the growth platform today. growth.technation.io.
Awesome. We have also a team, apart from the program delivery, specifically in regions in the UK. We have we cover the 12 regions of the UK with 11 SEMs. These are scale-up engagement managers from Northern Ireland to Scotland to various regions in England and Wales. And these individuals, they support the overall community in these regions, and to be able to support them scale and to be able to apply for one of our programs or support them on any areas of their scaling journey that we can help as TechNation. Going through our international support, TechNation International, also we've got the growth programs specifically around these areas. We currently support UK companies with their growth into Japan, South Korea, Singapore and Southeast Asia, Australia, EU, United States, and soon Latin America. And the programs are designed to reflect the founder's scaling journey in each of the target markets. Companies will explore mentor international growth challenges and benefit from sessions delivered by experts for the go-to-market mentors and coaches who have done it and to be able to learn from them in their market of choice. And going through the last aspect of my presentation, which is around Technation Visa. This is about our visa program and visa route to come to UK. And this is about our visa, the Technation Global Talent, which also called Technation Visa, is the stepping stone to help realize the ambition to live and learn and lead in the UK tech. The Technation Visa is ultimately one of perhaps the best way for any individual outside of UK to be able to come here, live, work, study, and overall help the UK tech ecosystem to thrive. Whether you're an experienced coder or established tech marketeer offering the flexibility of rarely associated with visas, our Tier 1 route provides you with your family with the freedom to explore opportunities to develop your career without having to update your status. There are two routes, there are two pathways, exceptional talent and exceptional promise. On exceptional talent, if you're establishing your career, have a track record of impact and innovation as an employee or a founder, or the wider respect to your industry, this is eligible for permanent residency after 3 years, one of the fastest way to be able to get residency in the UK, permanent residency. And exceptional promise, again, this is if you're in an early stage as in your tech career and to be able to add value to the UK tech ecosystem. This is similar to the other one, but instead of 3 years, this is 5 years in terms of getting your permanent residency. There is no difference in terms of application process for each of these pathways. In terms of different stages, there are 2 stages to apply for Technation Visa. The first stage is the application for endorsement. So this starts with the application on government website, gov.uk, and complete the Technation application form. If endorsed, apply for visa within 3 months. And the second stage is to application for visa, which is start the application again official on a government visa and submit. And again, if approved, you can go through in terms of this aspect. The government may take up to 3 weeks to be able to assess. In terms of the headlines, we have uncapped availability, so there's no quotas in terms of how many Technation Visa or Global Talent Visa can be, so application are always open. It's flexibility, you can change your job or start on your own, so it's not specifically tied to your employer. So for example, Tier 2 visa in the UK is tied specifically to your employer for your visa. Family also, your immediate family can come with you network. You can join the visa alumni with many amazing individuals who have come through this route, and to be able to create that network with other individuals have come through this route, and to be able to create this network for yourself when you land in the UK, and support as well, access the Technation programs and growth platform. We have over 2,500 GTV recipient in the UK. 40% of all of the applications are visa route switchers, 70% being employees, and 30% founders. If you've got any question, again, feel free to find me on LinkedIn or on my email, sambeni@technation.io. More than happy to introduce you to our international team. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it today, so they asked me to represent them.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. I have a first question here. Looking to the programs you're presenting, from the first stage, the competition stage, to the second one, we have the fintech, the AI, the library, and the net zero. Yeah. So the question is, if I am a very promising startup from a different industry, which is not net zero or AI or fintech, and I am not an underrepresented founder, I am not for Technation. Or maybe I will come back when I'm strong enough to be part of the Future 50. How does it work? If I'm like a health tech, for example.
Very great question, right? So, I mean, let's cover that in terms of health tech perspective. Last year on AI cohorts, the largest subsector of the AI companies were health tech companies, right? Because again, AI is a horizontal technology. So if again, we have companies that are active in IoT and other areas. This is similar to fintech as well as net zero. So again, these are horizontally layered kind of areas. And if, for example, net zero, you're a sustainability tech company and you can prove the point that you ultimately are supporting to reduce the carbon emission, you're eligible to apply. But great question in terms of like if there are nuanced areas, for example, let's say like quantum tech company or any other areas that may kind of like come out like a Web3 or like VR related companies in that stage between Series A to Series B is something that we are specifically working on. So in the again in the near future we will be going through some new areas of supporting that specific area, but at the moment we have supporting to be able to provide the support through the growth platform. So anyone is welcome within the UK to be able to, as long as they're running their scale up, to be able to apply for the growth platform and to be able to get support there. But in terms of the size, as soon as they reach their Series A, they are eligible to apply for our upscale program, which is agnostic, fully agnostic for any set of companies. And as you mentioned, Future 50 also is very agnostic in terms of whatever stage that my company be there. But at this stage, we don't have an agnostic program specifically to those areas. And the main reason for that is because it's quite tough to say like, this program accepts, AI, fintech, net zero, underrepresented founders, anyone else, welcome to this program, right? So this is, again, something that we're working actively on right now.
Oh, yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. To see if you have any other question here. And sorry to not, but no. Then thank you very much for your time and for joining us here. I'm sure that, one question from my side. I know that there is many international companies that go through TechNation, but it's important to make a point here. One, to join any from the first stage on the competitions up to, they have to be UK based, right? They have to first participate in any of the programs from Chris to Maury, and then once they are set up in the UK, then they can apply to TechNation, right?
You're spot on, indeed. So currently, for any companies that will be eligible for any of our programs, they must be located in the UK. Their headquarters should be here within the UK to be able to let us support them. So yeah, that's one of the prerequisites for the programs that we have currently.
Great, and that's an important point for a Brazilian trying to reach TechNation.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, one support, but perhaps the Brazilian tech ecosystem and scale-ups is that the connection with our set of companies, right? So because we have a set of amazing companies that every year grows by 275 companies, so we have over 1,200 companies going through our programs. And if there is a need in terms of to have that warm introduction to any of these set of companies for collaboration, we are more than happy to make that introduction to these companies.
Great, thank you very much, Sam. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so following on, we have John Sanchez from TechStars. John is Director of Partnerships from Southeast, US, and Latin American Caribbean for TechStars. Joe, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here. I believe you are in a similar time zone that we are, so you are still in the morning, coming up to the afternoon. So good morning then, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invite. Hopefully everything is good. Sound is good and video is good. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, everything's perfect. Thank you.
Fantastic. And then just housekeeping. I know we're running up against time. So how much time do I have, Rodrigo? Do I have 10 minutes or so, more or less?
20. Yeah, with 20 is fine.
20 is fine. Fantastic. All right. Well, listen.
Have a questions. Yeah.
Fantastic. I didn't want to run over if we had that issue. So Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe Sanchez. As Rodrigo mentioned, I am the Director of Partnerships at TechStars, based out of Miami, Florida, covering the southeast part of the US and the rest of the Latin American and Caribbean region. It is my pleasure today to tell you a little bit more about what we do. I think the presenters today have done a phenomenal job in sharing with you the great opportunities that lie in the UK primarily and other parts of the world. I will take a step back and really focus on, a further earlier stage in the process, right? So as you can see from my screen, these are the 4 topics that I'm going to cover today. But what I want to make, clear is, number one, that TechStars invests in very early stage startups, right? So if you're a seed, pre-seed, then, you would be the ideal founder that, this message might resonate the most with, right? Because unlike other accelerator programs, and you can agree with me that acceleration means different things to different people, to many different people, right? So part of today's objective is for me to clarify a little bit about what acceleration programming means to TechStars and what it means to US founders. But furthermore, we do so many things, and we have value propositions for, innovative corporate partners. We have, a key message for founders, and we have relevant information for cities, government, and other investors out in the market. So to summarize in the best possible way, TechStars is a worldwide network, and we do, 4 primary things, and, the 4 primary pillars of our business, and that is ecosystem development, followed by pre-acceleration programming, which would probably be in similarity to an incubation program that you might be familiar with. We have our flagship accelerators that we are internationally known for. And then lastly, we have a key pillar in our business called portfolio services. And those are, the key individuals that are going to help founders continue in their entrepreneurial journey post-program. So if we focus on those 4 things that we do really, really well, I want to bring your attention to 2 of them, which are ecosystem development and pre-acceleration programming. Today, TechStars has, in operation about 54 programs around the world, which is what you have up on the screen. As you can see, we're heavily located in North America, with a sizable presence in EMEA and Asia Pac. And then, we have programs spinning up constantly in other parts of the world, including our TechStars, Anywhere, which is a 100% virtual program. So this gives you an idea of, where you could apply to some of these flagship accelerators. And the other thing to note is that we have horizontal programs, which are our city programs, and we have vertical programs, which are, primarily, focused on a particular industry or vertical, spanning from healthcare to space to agritech to fintech, a variety of programs. And this is where you're going to start seeing the difference amongst, some of the peers that spoke today and those other companies and organizations out in the marketplace that offer acceleration programs. But just to finish a little bit more about, TechStars in general, we have in our portfolio approximately 19 unicorns and counting over the past, almost 16 years that we've been in operation. And we have about 100 companies valued at over $100 million. So we have a proven methodology. We have a proven framework that works, and we keep getting reassured by primarily our corporate partners that this is exactly what they're looking for. And what I mean by that is one of the key differentiators amongst other accelerators is that we partner with corporate innovators. What does that mean? That, we go into the market, and that's, my daily job as a director of partnerships, to go out and find the top innovative corporates that are interested in spinning up their own accelerator focused on a particular theme. with a very particular set of, KPIs and goals, right? That's what makes us unique. Instead of just being, another investor, general partner, limited partner in a fund that then, focuses on finding those opportunistic, or strategic investments. We have a very well-defined framework that has worked in over 400, almost 400 times at this point, with a variety of programs that have yielded the results that you see right in front of you. Furthermore, let me just get my slides in the right spot. What is worth mentioning, and assuming that a large portion of the audience is comprised of founders, if you're in early stage, seed stage in that entrepreneurial journey, then you might consider applying to one of our programs. Okay, because that is exactly what we're looking for. We found that the moonshots find themselves in that area. If you're further down the path, further along the line, in a later stage, then we may not be the right option. So I think that also helps kind of narrow the scope as to what accelerator would be better suited for me as a founder. But furthermore, when it comes to ecosystem development, when it comes to pre-acceleration programs, we've done a phenomenal job, and I'm going to try to connect, Brazil with the UK and the rest of the world, right? So in Brazil, we are very well known for our startup weekends. We have great brand awareness, thanks to the community leaders in the country. Over the past several years, we've ran about 700 programs that have impacted about 50,000 participants and about 2,000 community leaders involved in putting together these programs. Now, what is a startup weekend? As the term describes, it's 54 hours over a weekend where we bring the community together, aspiring entrepreneurs that want to test their pitch, that want to find perhaps their co-founder, or just decide at the end of that weekend, is building a startup for me or not, right? Do I have a venture backable concept? And if so, then that is the right event. So once again, I'm happy to report that Brazil is one of those top markets for startup weekend, followed by Mexico and Colombia. So building on that momentum that we built over the years and having that brand awareness, some of you may be getting familiarized with the next step in that journey, right? Because once you leave that 54-hour weekend, with the adrenaline, the impact of what it could be, then we thought it would be good to continue, or help you continue that on that journey, by providing the next step in the process. And that next step in the process is a founder catalyst, which is a pre-accelerator. So why is this important? It's important because we can deliver this content virtually, and it's going to increase our chances of not only getting into an accelerator of ran by TechStars, but any other accelerator out there, right? We want to make sure that we play nice in the sandbox. We're contributing to the ecosystem, right? To the startup ecosystem, by providing quality programming and improving your chances of success. So having said that, I believe that within the realms of ecosystem development, pre-acceleration, those resonate highly to those entrepreneurs that are still getting into this startup, the idea of a startup or building a business. And the way that we connect this is because once you go through these programs, then we know we have a higher confidence, right, that you're going to be able to get into one of our other programs, of which we have one in London today. We have what we call a city program. And what that means, it's a horizontal program. So regardless of theme, regardless of vertical, if you wish to apply to one of those, they will review your application, no cost to the founder. And if you are successful, then you get to participate based on the guidelines set by that particular program. But just like them, as you saw on my previous screen, there's 53 other accelerators running at the moment and counting. So that should be, hopefully inspiring and a reason for you to get involved, right? Get involved. We're early in the stage of getting into this thing about startups. So hopefully that will resonate well with you. what is the next step? The next step in, once you leave those programs, then it's the acceleration program, right? As I mentioned earlier, a key stakeholder are the corporate partners that fund these programs. And, we have a valid proposition, a whole business model for them. And these are companies that either have their own accelerator programs that perhaps has some deficiencies, are looking to just transfer that whole process, that whole engine to somebody else. Or it could be a variety of reasons. But why are we in the picture? And the reason we're in the picture is because of our vast network of mentors. We have about 7,000 mentors in the network. We have about 300 corporate partners. We have about 21,000 investors and about 3,000 graduates, at this point that have come through our flagship accelerators. So, and here's another differentiation when it comes to acceleration programs. TechStars only invests in companies that go through our programs, right? So that's a big ask, but we are, confident that we are going to improve their chances of success by going through that process that we've designed, which in reality, that's the due diligence process, right? It's a 3-month-long program over the course of, of 12 months that takes to plan these. But as a founder, you will spend, 3 months going through the process and improving your chances of success. But as I mentioned earlier, the key message here is that you become TechStars for life. Once you exit the program, then that's when our team in portfolio services helps you access the vast network to help you, gain new customers, that helps you select the right infrastructure, that helps you hire talent, everything that a company needs in order to scale. Then that's where the fun begins, right? And obviously prepare you to, to find additional investment. So that's what happens in London. That's what happens in 53 other accelerators around the world. That, we're very cognizant of the fact that, it takes a village. It takes a village. And that's why, what you have in front of you is the guiding light of our founder, of our Boulder thesis. Boulder, Colorado is where we started. And these are just the guiding points, the guiding light to everything that we do, right? You're going to lead, a long-term commitment is required to be successful. Inclusion and diversity, that's a big ask in a lot of our programs. And of course, engagement should be continual. And that's why we engage, the key stakeholders in every ecosystem. Once again, it's worth repeating: corporate partners, government, academia, universities, and of course, other investors. If we can find those ecosystems that, meet that criteria, then we believe that, that's a good spot for TechStars to really plant a flag. These are some of the, trade organizations, economic development agencies that have trusted us with their business, either to help drive, startup traffic, deals, et cetera, or have that, bi-directional participation. So this is just a small example of what we would be able to offer. Founder Catalyst, as I already mentioned, this is our pre-accelerator. Highly encourage you to look into it, because once again, that increases your chances of getting accepted into not only a TechStars program, but those others that exist in the market. Again, we want to build a community. That's what we're all about. Once you start looking into what makes us successful, it's that community that's going to move us forward. In fact, one of our founders, Brett Felt, literally wrote the book, and you'll see it here in a couple slides, literally wrote the book on startup communities, right? Because we do believe that it is important for us to play a role in identifying these ideas that can come from anywhere, but at the end of the day, opportunity does not. So we want to focus on identifying, bringing them to the forefront, and just leveling the playing field for those that aspire to be part of this journey. A quick snapshot as to the Founder Catalyst program. Again, even though it's a 30-week program, it's 10 weeks of intense, masterclasses, pitch coaching, pitch design, and mentorship. And at this stage, you start getting into, or start tapping into the network, the worldwide network of TechStars. And that is what, not only do our founders, but our, partners along that value chain find the most valuable. think about corporate partner in a certain vertical, electrification, by a Fortune 500 company that, wants to get ideas and, get inspired by the way that other companies innovate. This is ultimately a win-win for all. So I know I went pretty quick through this presentation, but the message that I want to leave behind, again, if you're a founder, highly encourage you to apply to one of our programs, get to know TechStars, and you will find that there are a variety of benefits that we can bring, whether you're in Brazil, whether you're in somewhere in Latin America, or whether you're in the UK. All right, we truly believe on a founder's first journey, and we will do everything possible to help you succeed and scale your business. So that's the key message. If you're a corporate looking to get involved and have thought about a customized or bespoke program, then I believe TechStars would be worth considering, right? Because we can just basically take a program, turnkey solution, and drive it based on the KPIs, recruitment, investment strategy that you might have in mind in order to yield those best results. So, right, as a corporate, you want to always maximize that innovation and and investment, right? We want to make sure we keep those in check. So, with that said, Rodrigo, hopefully this was helpful to you. I want to thank the audience for giving me the opportunity. I know there's something happening. I'm the last thing that's stopping you between the next milestone today, and that is a key match. So I will end it there.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. And I had the opportunity to visit TechStars in London, and it's a very amazing place. And what you're doing with the London ecosystem is also impressive. And I was myself a community leader of
fantastic.
Of startup weekends from 2012. I started the first one, so it's a long time ago.
Love to hear it.
But yeah, I have one very nice question. Please. And I wanted to direct not only to you, Joe, but also to Sam, because it regards operating the an acceleration program, and it's something that is always in the middle of a discussion. What is a fast-growing startup? What is the scaling up or fast scaling up processes? And the question is from the ISO block was Mark Building Tech about what we call digital business models. Those business models that are partly digital, partly physical, and how they could connect and get support for an acceleration program. Is it common? Do you have these kind of startups going on through your projects, or it's exclusive digital?
Well, I'll go first, right? So from our vantage point, that's a common question. It's not solely restricted to digital or SaaS, right? What we call SaaS companies. We actually have companies in hard tech industry, deep tech. Again, I mentioned, space, right? We have a space program out of Los Angeles. We have agritech, in Minneapolis, a sports program. Like a lot of these don't necessarily just, are considered, software development or digital models. No, this is actually proofs of concept, pilots, and prototypes, right, of hard tech products. I think where we start differentiating is the small businesses, right? I think there's a fine line between, can we help a small business, that small, barbershop, that small retail store? Perhaps not, because we focused on venture backable companies that are going to scale, even though the goods might be hard, but it has to be the right model. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Joe. I know, Sam, are you available? If not, oh yeah, there he is. Okay.
Yes.
Great. So I would like also to hear from you, Sam, about this physical business model, the physical and digital, for Tech Nation. How does it go? Exclusive digital, or is it possible for a hard tech company to join the process?
Very good question. So historically, similar to investors, there's always that kind of digital aspect favorable, and that's mainly because of how nimble the organization could be in terms of change of strategies. and also in terms of like how they can scale and patch over the weekend here and there. So certainly that aspect been historically favorable in terms of digital businesses. However, given now we live in 2022, things are changing. So we are in a decade of convergence, right? So we see technologies are converging to each other, and you end up utilizing digital models on a hardware, right? So actually distincting between like a hardware-based company to a software-based company is very hard right now to figure out actually they're a hardware-based company or a software-based company first. So it's a mixture of both, right? So we see like many hardware first companies actually come through our net zero program because that's what they do. They have a set of kind of physical technology that perhaps reduce carbon emission, or like electric kind of vehicles, or like different aspects. So these are really hardware based companies, but they definitely have a big chunk of their business relied on their digital perspective to be able to achieve what they're achieving. So they're ultimately a tech company. So it's a mixture of both, I have to say.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Maurizina. Thank you, Iraklis, Rodriguez, and Chris Moore. Thank you very much to all of you for this event. It was lots of information, and I really think that we will make it more and more connections between Brazilian ecosystems and Brazilian founders and startups and the UK. So we have a few minutes to close, so I'll just go a quick round following my table here, my screen here, on a few last words of each one of you, and then I pass to Rodrigo to make the closing. Okay, so Iraklis, just some final message to our audience.
Yes, thank you, Rodrigo. Yes, well, we at the embassy, we are pleased to participate at this webinar, and thank you very much for inviting us. I hope that the audience could learn more about the UK market, how to access it, and also how they can increase their presence in the UK. And if you need any support from the Brazilian embassy, we are here to support. You have my contact details, and also we can assist you to enter into the UK market and get in touch with other bodies in the UK. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Iraklis. Thank you very much. Now, Maurizina, just a few last words.
Have to go next. I think my main message to everybody is, if you have a growth ambition, follow it. If you want to go to whatever country, just make sure that you've got the right connections. Ask for help, offer help. So take, but at the same time give as well, because there's nothing better than sharing your knowledge. The time is right, always, no matter how the circumstances are, there is always an opportunity. So embrace challenges, go for opportunities, and always make sure that you keep your vision in mind to achieve what you set off to achieve when you created your business. If you need any help from London, I'm here, and you've got my contact details. If you need any help from London and partners, contact me, and I can connect you with any one of my colleagues to help you as well. Hopefully to speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Joe.
Yes, Rodrigo, thank you. No, the last message or the message that I would like to leave with everyone is, again, especially if you're a founder, get involved, right? Get involved, apply to these programs. There's definitely a lot of opportunity out there, but don't be left wondering. We continue to get involved in Brazil. Hopefully you will join us at one of these events, and then eventually help you, navigate those international programs that we offer on a continuous basis. So once again, thank you for the invitation, and I hope to speak to one of you in the near future.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you. Sam.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Yeah, so the last message I would like to leave with the founders, specifically because I'm an ex-founder, founded 5 companies and exited twice, is that build a personal network, right? Build a personal network and align it to your success. You know, people wouldn't come and knock your doors. You have to go and knock their doors. And ensure that you're building a right network and your organization are utilizing those individuals to be able to achieve the results.
Great, that's a very good point, very important one. Thank you very much. Chris, your final message?
Yeah, thank you, Rodrigo. It's been great to talk to everybody today. And I think, as Maurizina said, put it really nicely, don't wait. Now is the right moment. Go out there, begin to look at what the opportunities are, begin to establish your personal networks, like Sam was saying. And we are here to help you. All of us this afternoon, this morning, are here to help you. So it doesn't really matter who you talk to first. We will help you to find the right contacts and to get started. But we believe that there are huge opportunities for Brazilian companies to come to the UK and to grow. And we're looking forward to seeing a lot more of you here in the UK soon.
Thank you very much, Chris, and everyone from the IT. And now I pass to Rodrigo trará, from Sebrae to his final message and, of course, closing.
There we go. So there is a book that I like very much somewhere around here, Creating a Learning Society, from 2 economists, Greenwald and Stiglitz, that says that the most advanced economies, they are good on acquiring knowledge and transforming knowledge into action. And that's why they have so productive people and productive companies there, because they are able to follow what is happening in the market. And what we are doing today here, it's bringing a lot of knowledge together that our entrepreneurs and our companies are able to use this information and go for action when you are interested in go to the UK market. So this is my basically the last words: go for action. We have a lot of contacts here. Engage with the contacts that we have here. We just provide a lot of qualified information that will create a shortcut. That's why you're going to increase your productivity. We created just a shortcut of a lot of different partners and different ways of landing in the UK market. So thank you very much, Anprotec and all of the different partners here, but especially to Iraklis, Joe, Maurizina, Sam, Chris. I think I didn't lose anyone of our speakers here, but most especially to our audience here today. Thank you very much, and let's go for the game. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Best of luck.
Best of luck.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Good luck.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.